Welcome to Live Life with Sean. I'm your host, Sean Higgins. I'm a lifelong information security technology expert with a passion for speaking, coaching, and writing. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you some of the stories that have gone on in my life. And I hope that by me sharing my stories, it will help you with whatever you're going through. If you enjoy this content, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment or question, as this will help others find this podcast. Thank you for joining me. And tonight I'm going to share a story that, happened a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago. And, I'll just tell it and I hope that it helps you out. So one Sunday afternoon, I was out running around like I normally would. And as I got back into my car from one of my stops, I noticed that I had an email from my boss. And this is not unusual, as I get emails from my boss all the time. So I opened it up and started to read it. And as I read it, my blood really started to boil. It was just, frustrating. In this email, he was basically yelling at me, accusing me of not doing my job and not doing things that I told him many times that I was doing. It was just infuriating. If that was not enough, there was a second email which followed up, and the message simply said, "This is not good. We have to meet about this on Monday." At this point, I was pissed. I could hardly contain myself. I was so glad that it was Sunday because I felt like hitting him. Yeah, I hate to say that, but the energy was just really bubbling up in me. I did not know what to do. And, I thought that driving home would help, but driving home, just the messages just really stewed as I drove. I'd like to say that I cooled off on my drive, and this is probably one of the drives where nothing really changed, but the reverse happened. I was even more angry at him, and I had all this pent up anger, and I really didn't know what to do. So there were really two things that I did. First, I reached out to a friend and told them what was going on and that I would update them later. Second, I decided I needed to get rid of this pent up energy, and I chose to go for a run. I laugh about it because at the time I thought it would be a great idea because this energy was just built up and it just needed some place to release, someplace like screaming. Maybe screaming would have been better. So anyways, I went for this run and I just ran. And I ran so fast that I had to stop and walk. But I could still feel this anger in me. And after I was able to calm down enough, or at least cool down enough, I ran some more. And again, until I couldn't run anymore, and then I walked. And I repeated this cycle of walking and running until about an hour later when I got back home. It was a good idea because after all that running and walking, it did release that anger in me. Though later in the week, I got to tell you, my legs were telling me otherwise. I had a few days walking very gingerly because of all that running. Even though I felt better, I didn't feel great. So I took some time and I just listened to what I thought that I needed to do. Slowed down a little bit, took a few breaths. I sat down at my computer and just started to gather information to prepare for that meeting that I was supposed to have with my boss on Monday. And I was surprised with all the stuff I was uncovering. I was feeling better. I also updated my friend just to let him know what I had done and what I was doing. Gathering the information just really helped me feel that much better about the upcoming meeting. And I was able to relax a bit, and I think I did enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Later in the early evening, I, sat down and just listened again and wondered what else I could do to prepare for my meeting on Monday. And I got Reiki. And Reiki is an energy healing technique, and I am not a Reiki practitioner. I've probably read a few books about it. I know a little bit how to work with energy and had a general idea of how Reiki worked. Again, I'm no expert, but I decided to put on some relaxing music, lay down on the bedroom floor, and I closed my eyes and just imagined giving myself some Reiki. And I did feel so much better. Later, when I went to bed, I made sure I cleared my space. And what that means for me is I laid down flat on the bed, just, my head looking up, just relaxing calmly. And I went through a process where I just basically clear any connections that I picked up that day. And then I cleared the energy in the room. And then after I was done, I drew in what I was trying to bring forth in this lifetime. It's a vision that I step into a lot of evenings. It helps me relax and basically helps me drift off into sleep. And this may surprise you, but I slept great. And the surprising thing is that normally on my Sunday to Monday sleeping, I wake up early and I toss and turn before the alarm goes off. Sorry. But this night, I slept until my alarm went off and I felt great. Excuse me. As I drove into the office that morning, a question popped into my mind. What wants to happen through me? And nothing really came to me right away. But throughout the morning, I just kept taking some time to feel into that question before the meeting with my boss. What wants to happen through me? At about 11:30, my boss emailed me and said, "Hey, print out this stuff and let's go." So I printed out the stuff and I met him at the elevators. And as we stood there, he was talking to somebody else. And I could feel myself just tighten up. The anxiety over the email on Sunday was coming up again. But I just told myself, just breathe, breathe. And I just breathed and I could felt myself draw back into me and relax. When we got to the restaurant, the meeting started with a bunch of questions from my boss, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Which always leads to some interesting discussions, and it was a good way to get the meeting going. When he finally started to focus on me and my role, the conversation was more around, I would like you to do this. He explained it clearly, without anger, and none of that blaming that appeared in the email that I got on Sunday. It turned out to be a wonderful, productive meeting. So as I think about that situation right now, a few things stand out to me. First, listen to what you need. If you need to burn some energy, burn some energy. If you need to sit and listen to music, sit and listen to music. If you need to collect information, collect information. If you need to do Reiki, even if you don't know exactly how to do it. Do the work you feel you need to do. Second, ask yourself an empowering question, like what wants to happen through me? And really sit with the question. You may or may not get an answer, but this question for me, there's a presupposition that there is something more in life that wants to come through me. And when I just sit with this question, whether or not I get an answer, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, I just feel the possibilities of what might want to come through, if not a specific answer. Third, connect with people that lift you up. I connected with a friend who I knew would be there. And sometimes you just need a person to listen, to say they're there with you. And that's what this friend did for me in this case. They would write back and say, it's okay. Just thank you for keeping me updated. Just keep moving forward, or just something positive coming back. Now, think of all the people in your network. How do you know which ones to call? Well, think about it. Think of all those people and think about the ones when you tell them a problem. Do you feel better or do you feel worse? And connect with the ones who make you feel better. Thank you for joining me on Live Life with Sean. If you'd like to book a coaching session with me, please go to my website, SeanCHiggins.com, and go to the Connect with Sean page on my website. If you enjoyed this show, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment or question, as this will help others find Live Life with Sean. Until next time, have a wonderful week.